on the Atlantic coast and warm waters from the tropics combine to create a swimmer's and surfer's paradise along miles of uncrowded beaches. Family-friendly guarded parks, plentiful public beach accesses, lots of Florida sunshine, scenic splendor, and a pristine shoreline as nature intended make Florida's Treasure Coast the perfect place to reflect, relax, and re-energize. Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
In Riverside Park sits one of the crown jewels of Vero Beach's cultural community, the Center for the Arts. The community-sponsored non-profit cultural center gives the public a chance to enjoy and participate in the arts and the humanities. The neoclassical structure features changing exhibitions of national and international acclaim in the main gallery, as well as another gallery dedicated to the exhibitions of Florida artists. Renowned speakers give lectures in the classroom and Gonzalez Seminar Room for the humanities. Films, concerts, and performances are held in the 250-seat Glenhart Auditorium, while contemporary sculpture is featured on the center's grounds and the Wallstrom Sculpture Garden. Visitors can take home a memory from their stay by visiting the museum shop. When in Vero Beach, pay a visit to the Center for the Arts.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
The North County Aquatic Center is a swimmer's paradise for all ages in Indian River County. Located on County Road 512, it's easy to find just east of I-95. The water park includes a large splash pool that young and old alike will enjoy, with 2 slides and lots of cascading water that everyone can have fun in. The park includes an Olympic-sized pool that's put to good use all year long. It's ideal for serious swimmers and beginners who want to swim laps for exercise, and there are diving boards that add to the fun. Lots of classes are available for those learning to swim and for those who want to stay fit with water aerobics. Licensed and trained lifeguards man the pools so you can relax and enjoy the cool refreshment along with Florida's ample warm sunshine. The facility is used for training and competitive swim meets throughout the year. And the North County Aquatic Center is a favorite oasis for residents and visitors to Florida's Treasure Coast.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities. A closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. When visiting Florida's Treasure Coast, take a trip back to Old Florida. Drive about 4 miles north of Vero Beach on Highway A1A. Turn left onto Old Winter Beach Road. In about a half a mile, the paved road turns to dirt and veers to the right. You are now on scenic Jungle Trail Road. Jungle Trail winds through thickly growing palms and pines and beautiful views of the Indian River Lagoon, stately old homes and citrus groves. The south leg of the trail ends at State Road 510, just east of the Wabasso Causeway. The trail begins again among tall pines and orange groves, then twists and turns under a canopy of trees. The trail comes to an end back on A1A a little south of the Sebastian Inlet. Take a ride off the beaten path on the Jungle Trail when visiting Florida's Treasure Coast. Treasure Coast Travel coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
Visitors to Florida's eastern shoreline and residents will love to know the animal kingdom is well cared for on Florida's Treasure Coast. Considered a treasure themselves, many species of animals are provided a safe haven in this subtropical climate that so many of our human species enjoy. The Treasure Coast is home to no less than 4 animal sanctuaries that include Pelican Island in Sebastian, Save the Chimps in Fort Pierce, the National Elephant Center located in Fellsmere, Indian River County's most northwest city, and the Archie Carr National Wildlife Refuge, set aside for sea turtle nesting. The Pelican Island National Wildlife Refuge is America's first national wildlife refuge established by President Teddy Roosevelt in 1903. Pelican Island itself is a 5-acre mangrove island in the Indian River Lagoon, a natural rookery for pelicans and dozens of other bird species. Sebastian resident Paul Krogel was the first warden of Pelican Island, and today more than 422 acres make up the wildlife refuge. All this is explained and can be viewed from a lookout located off of Jungle Trail on the barrier island just north of Wabasso Beach on A1A. Further north on A1A, prime sea turtle nesting beaches have been set aside to protect the natural habitat of large sea turtles that have picked these beaches to dig their nests for thousands of years, and where baby hatchlings make their way to the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Archie Carr National Wildlife Refuge. Adding to Indian River County's love for the wild is the newest animal sanctuary on Florida's Treasure Coast. Head west to Fellsmere to find the national and 25-acre habitat being set aside for the protection of both African and Asian elephants. Now go due south to St. Lucie County. Animal conservationists there will tell you chimps are king of the jungle, or at least they are at the Save the Chimps Sanctuary in Fort Pierce. It is recognized as the world's largest chimpanzee sanctuary, providing lifelong care for chimps rescued from biomedical research laboratories. For these chimps, security and brighter days are theirs. Visitors and residents alike agree. The call of the wild is loud and strong on Florida's Treasure Coast.
Welcome to the Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline community. A closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
The Indian River Lagoon, said to be one of the world's most diverse estuaries, is also a prime location for recreational boating. From Sebastian to Round Island, there are many ramps providing access to the river throughout the county. Many have docks, and all have free parking. Larger craft can be moored at one of the many private marinas or the municipal marina in Vero Beach. Navigating the Indian River can be a little tricky for the newcomer. While small boats and canoes can easily manage the grass flats and salt marshes, coastal waterway. The many spoil islands along the river were created when the waterway was dredged. Most are available for recreational activities. However, care must be taken to preserve delicate seagrass beds, and public access is discouraged on a number of islands to allow for bird nesting. Care must also be taken to avoid manatees that frequent the area. Whether fishing, birdwatching, or out for a day of cruising, the Indian River Lagoon is one of the major attractions of the Treasure Coast.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Satisfy your cultural appetite on Florida's Treasure Coast, a mecca for the fine arts. World-renowned musicians, artists, artisans, and actors are drawn here like metal to a magnet. Self-expression, enrichment, and quality entertainment are encouraged, kindled, nourished, and enjoyed by all. Art shows are frequent, studios, classes, sculpture, paintings on exhibit, live theater, and concerts are a regular happening. Culturally rich and diverse, Florida's Treasure Coast offers a variety of artistic venues sure to please, prod, stir, and stretch your imagination. Just some of the little things that make life worth the living and visiting on Florida's Treasure Coast. Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. The Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
Tucked away in a residential neighborhood off 15th Street is Charles Park, one of the most popular neighborhood parks in Indian River County. The main feature of Charles Park is the half-mile-long walking trail that meanders under majestic oaks and provides a perfect venue for walkers and joggers. The trail also features numerous fitness stations for a well-rounded workout. Charles Park also plays host to a popular children's playground with numerous swing sets and slides. Nearby picnic pavilions make it a popular spot for children's birthday parties and other family gatherings. A sand-filled volleyball court awaits those who like to spike and dig their way to a good time. 2 tennis courts also allow players to enjoy a set or two in a peaceful wooded setting. Located between 20th and 27th Avenues on 15th Street, Charles Park is open from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. and has proven to be a popular spot for recreation in Indian River County.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Stewart on shore. This area earns its nickname from the vast number of sunken ships off our coast, dating back to the age of New World discovery and exploration. These wooden vessels centuries later yield treasures from the ocean floor, but this stretch of the Atlantic coast is today home to modern man-made treasures and a tranquil quality of life you'll want to discover for yourself while visiting Florida's Treasure Coast. To the Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
Indian River County history is on display at the Vero Beach Railroad Station. Located at 2336 14th Avenue, the station was originally a stop on the Florida East Coast Railway. It was purchased by the Historical Society in 1984 for $1 and opened in 1987 for visitors after being moved from its original site. The centerpiece of the museum is a display featuring a model train traveling through Indian River County as it was near the turn of the century. Models of historic buildings and old photographs recreate times past as an audio tape guides visitors on their imaginary journey. Other exhibits include displays of natural history, both current and prehistoric, Indian artifacts, train memorabilia, industry, and agriculture, as well as Indian River County's contribution to the war years. The museum is open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays from September through May. Admission is free. For more information, call 778-3435.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. A closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Boating on the Treasure Coast's waterways is fun for all ages and happily comes in all shapes and sizes. Pick your spot: lakes, marshes, river, lagoon, or open sea. The watercraft you like best is easy to find and waiting for you. Canoe the river, or try your hand at sailboarding. Personal watercraft are always a favorite. Sail with the breeze, motorboat and water ski, or sit back, relax, pontoon, paddle wheel, or cruise. Go fishing on a charter boat. Whatever you like best, if it's being on the water, surf's up, and it's waiting for you on Florida's Treasure Coast. To the Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
Just east of Highway A1A in Vero Beach sits J.C. Park. The park, along with the adjacent Con Beach, provide plenty of recreational opportunities for young and old. The park features a quarter-mile-long boardwalk allowing visitors to take a stroll while enjoying a cool ocean breeze. Swimmers and surfers can hit the waves under the watchful eyes of county lifeguards. A nearby bathhouse and shower facility makes it easy to come and go from the beachfront. The park itself plays host to a series of shaded and unshaded picnic tables, many with adjacent barbecue grills, making it a great place for cookouts with family and friends. Or if you don't like to cook, nearby restaurants provide plenty of choices for food and drink. J.C. Park also features a sand-filled volleyball court and playground, complete with swings and monkey bars to keep the youngsters happy. J.C. Park and Con Beach, two of the most popular recreational stops in Indian River County.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
Just south of the Merrill Barber Bridge, you'll find the 50 Park. Located along the banks of the Indian River Lagoon, Riverside Park not only plays host to the Center for the Arts, the Riverside Theater, and the Riverside Children's Theater, but it also is the site for several festivals and special events featuring everything from arts and crafts to antique cars. A stroll over a small footbridge leads visitors to Memorial Island, a special place set aside to honor those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Just south of Memorial Island, boaters can make good use of launching facilities. Visitors seeking exercise can enjoy a stroll or jog on a tree-lined trail fitness stations for a full-body workout. Tennis players can enjoy a set or two on one of several lighted courts. Picnickers will find Riverside Park to be a fine spot, with several pavilions overlooking the Indian River Lagoon. Riverside Park, a great place to spend a day in Indian River County.
Welcome to the Treasure Coast Travel Guide, a closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore.
Citrus is king in Indian River County. 1/5 of the county's land area, some 69,000 acres, is planted in citrus. Indian River citrus is known around the world as the top of the line in fresh fruit. The county itself plays host to over 20 packing houses and processing facilities. Besides tourism, citrus is the major force behind the local economy. Citrus is celebrated at the Citrus Museum at the Heritage Center near downtown Vero Beach. Since 1993, visitors have been able to browse through displays highlighting the history of the local citrus industry. The step back in time includes artifacts, photos, and even a model of a turn-of-the-century grove house. Admission to the museum is free, but donations are requested. A gift shop allows visitors to take home some memories from one of the more appealing places in Indian River County.
Treasure Coast Travel Guide, A closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. Coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart on Florida's eastern shore. If you love sports, you'll fit right in on the Treasure Coast, where it's always tea time. Play tennis or watch the pros. Got a hankering for baseball? You came to the right place. Get a workout or take a walk. Jog. Lose those extra pounds or take a pounding. Shuffleboard. Cool it and aerobicize. Then drive yourself crazy for more. Polo, anyone? Ride a bike, body surf, knock 'em down, putter about, shout, get in the swing of things. Sound fishy? It's delishy. Florida's Treasure Coast is where the action is. How do I know? A little birdie told me so. Treasure Coast Travel Guide. A closer look at the coastline communities stretching south from Sebastian to Stewart.